We all have to start from zero with pain. And what that means is, if you don't go back, we all have something that bothers us. Everybody in this world is insecure. And whenever you're in physical pain, even though you might not be thinking about that mental stuff that happened to you, your mind is thinking about it.
To prepare my mind for what life's gonna throw at me. A healthy body gives you a healthy mind. That's what it's about. So if you go into battle, you wanna go into battle with the right mindset, the right gear. In combat, you wear body armor. But what we do wrong is we don't strengthen our minds. You gotta strengthen your mind. Take control of that.
All these dungeons that our life has created, most of the time we quit is because we don't have any mental tools to get us through the other side. My whole thing for people is you have to examine, why are you doing it in the first place? What makes people quit so much in SEAL training and all other special ops training is the mind. It's always comfortable to sit there, you're watching the Navy SEAL show, Discovery Channel, you're in a 72-degree house. I can do that. Oh, sure.
The people in the world become weaker people. It's by capping your brain. It's by putting this kind of garbage in it about not attacking what you're not good at. It's about putting a cap on managing your expectations. If I lived that way, if I had any kind of thought process like managing expectations, I would be a 400-pound man by now, working some job that made no money, and I would never know my capabilities. I would never have become a Navy SEAL. I never took Ranger School. All these things I did.
Trying to find more of yourself, knowing that the real you is afraid, likes comfort, likes living in a world that likes to pat you on the back, give you the things that you want to hear, not the things that you have to hear to get better. That's where all this kind of started.
At the bottom of insecurities, fear, self-doubt, lies, was me buried in the fetal position. How I got out of that was recognizing it, being honest with it, being truthful with it, and then fixing it. We like to live on social media with lies about ourselves, how great we are. Get to the source and fix the problem.
I don't need it. I'm good. Why do you still do this? You right now are a leader. You sit in this chair right now to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. That's why you do it. Why you get up at 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning is because you are setting the example for others to follow. People always go, what drives you now? What should drive you now is no more you. Like you said, I'm comfortable. I'm good. It's not about you anymore. You have to change your mindset to God gave you everything you want. It's pay time. You got to now start paying bills for the people in your mindset. So you're suffering now. Like when people say, why do you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning? So then you can come in and set the example for everybody else.
The most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. You wake up with it, you walk around with it, you go to bed with it. Eventually you act on it, whether it be good or bad. There's haters everywhere in this world. People trying to get in your head. The one thing you gotta understand is this, they're trying to infiltrate your mind. What a lot of boxers do to get away from distractions is they go away before a big fight. A lot of us can't do that. We have to be able to live amongst distractions and be undistracted. Stay in your own mind. Don't let them own yours.
I am where I am now to write a book about the hero, David Goggins. But the hero is not me. The hero is the person reading the book. But I had to tell him where I came from to give people hope that, wow, that's where he came from and now he's there. I want to give people that kind of hope. So that's why it was tough. Because to give people hope, I had to take myself to the sewer to show people, hey, I come from hell. I come from hell. And a lot of it I created, not just society. Yeah, society helped me out, but I created a lot of the hell that I had to go through. I wanted to, the first time in my life, after 26 years, it was 24, 25, whatever it was, I wanted to feel good about myself. Well, a lot of people, what they do is they have these finish lines. I don't stop when I'm tired, I stop when I'm done. My mind was so weak.
That shows up on time, every time. It has the tactical advantage over you. It knows your fears, it knows your insecurities, it knows everything about you. It might be the only thing in that world that knows all about you. You gotta know about it. It's gonna show up when you don't wanna show up. It's gonna show up at the worst time possible when you wanna be successful. It's gonna say, take the easy road, take the easy way out. You gotta learn your brain like your brain has learned you.
We wanna be the best amongst the average people. People wonder, how do you stay hungry all the time? Because after I accomplish something, I don't sit back like a lot of guys who graduate buds, graduate this, graduate that. They get comfortable. They wonder why I'm getting weak, man. I don't know, I lost my edge. What's going on? Because once you hit the top of the mountain, guess what happened? I'm good. So you wonder why you're falling down now. Because once you reach the top of the mountain, you got to build another one. That's mediocrity. There's a lot of people in mediocrity who have a nice resume, but they're one-timers, man. They hit a one-time deal, they busted it open, got a lot of money, but they're good. You're mediocre now. These people go to the gym, they get big, they get jacked, they can run fast, but the only thing they're doing is they're coding over the mind. All you're doing is building a bigger, stronger quitter. Your mind hasn't gotten any stronger. So the second adversity comes, like, my God, I'm so fit. What's wrong? Your mind is still soft.
Life is always giving you a test, trying to give you a way out, trying to give you an excuse not to show up. This is my excuse today. But guess what? You gotta have the mentality to show up every day of your life. No matter what life throws at you, it's our responsibility to show up to the Coliseum of life, prepared for battle. I don't care what you're going through, what life's throwing at you. It's your responsibility to find your new 100%. Take it upon yourself to do that. Stay hard.
I did it for mental. People always say, my God, like, no, don't look at it like, I didn't care about losing weight. I didn't care about being the fastest person. I wasn't making the Olympics. I wasn't going to pros. I could barely read and write when I was in junior in high school. I wasn't going anywhere. I saw working out as a way for me to build calluses on my mind. I had to callus over the victim's mentality. I always equated training to mental toughening. Like, it always looked brutal. People waking up early and doing all these things, and it looked horrible. I was like, wow, man, I gotta start doing that. Not to get better, bigger, and stronger, but that is what's gonna build me. That looks uncomfortable. That looks brutal. And getting up early, I don't wanna do that. So I made this long list of things I don't wanna do. And through that, I found myself. I don't take any days off as far as working out. What I realized growing up is you have to build your armor. Your armor, your first thing in the morning time is you have to build your confidence. And every day you're constantly gaining and losing confidence. You're never staying the same. So how you build your confidence is, if you like what you see in that mirror, that's how you start your day off. If you wake up and you look fat, you look out of shape, you're not, you don't feel good, or you don't feel good inside. So my whole big thing is get up and work out. Get the mind going, get all that going. Every day I run, every day I work out, and every day I stretch. So I spend anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a day working out. I'm constantly thinking about my life, raw things about my life, because I want to share these things with people. You got to go back to old school, which is there's no secret. It's just hard work. And I hate to say it, man. Everybody goes, what is your secret, man? What's your secret about business? What's your secret about this? What's your secret about that? The answer is, you see his hands? Hard work, man. I'm sorry. I'm not a magician. It's not magic. It's literally, you're going to have to wake up and you're going to have to sit there and say, today's going to suck. And then when that day is over, you're going to wake up again and say, the next day is going to suck. And that's going to be your life. Unless you're this guy who sits back and says, oh, I have this great idea. And it happens to work. And you could be some lazy fat ass that sits back and makes millions of dollars off of some idea. But the majority of it, just wake up every day, punch that mental time clock and say, this is gonna suck.
Today I was running, and this guy passes me in the car. And it's about 100 degrees out here, 70% humidity. And the guy comes back around, looks at me. He pulls his car by me and says, why are you out here? I said, because you're not. Sometimes your motivation needs to be because no one else wants to do it. We need doctors. We need dentists. We need teachers. We also need savages. This message I do is not for everybody. I'm not asking you to be like me. Do you. Stay hard.
So many people, before I give them a workout plan, they're talking about recovery. Everybody that hears me speak, they want to go straight to recovery. Work out first. We are always looking for, like whenever I talk to people, people take my words and they put it in a way to where They want to feel comfortable. This guy, they want to put you in a box. They want to put a title on you. No, you're putting a title on me to make yourself feel better about yourself. If you read this book of mine and you see where I came from, this person was not made by God. I made this person. I made this person by diving into the insecurities that life gave me. Because now they're yours. They're yours to own. If you're not smart, call yourself dumb. It's okay, because you are. But take that not as you're putting yourself down. If you're fat, call yourself fat. I used to be 300 pounds. We want to talk so soft to ourselves. We're looking for that recovery day. And that recovery day is everything in your life. Everything in your life is a recovery day. We're looking for it. It's not coming. It's not coming. Get over that recovery day. And that's the mentality I took with me. And what happened through that process was all the frivolous things of life started to float away. I used to tell people lies so they would like me because I was so insecure. When you start to build yourself up and start to have the one thing that we don't have is confidence. Real, authentic confidence from hard work. Everything else goes away. You no longer look to other people for your self-esteem. You now know. I walk in a room now and I know the hours and years and decades I put into David Goggins. That's something, it's not on the wall. It's not a trophy on the wall. It's not a medal on your neck. It is actually a feeling in your heart. And people go, why don't you ever smile? I don't have to. Yeah, I do have a stoic look on my face. I'm a very focused person. But the feeling I have in my soul and in my heart, that's why I don't need to smile. I don't need to smile. I don't need you to look at me and say, oh my God, you look happy. Because half of us aren't happy. We're giving you something that we think you want to see. I don't do that anymore. I don't care how you perceive David Goggins. Because through my journey, I figured out the one piece I was missing. I thought it was cars. I thought it was women. The one piece I was missing was me having the courage to face myself. And once you do that on a daily basis, it's not about the running. People are going to be about working out. Where I got my work ethic from was the hours I had to spend learning this. When you sit down and you're not smart, and you have a disability, and you still want to be at the top of your class, I didn't want to just get by. When I realized that I can learn through hard work, and I can beat the valedictorian in school, but I got put in 10 hours more a day than he does. You know what kind of strength comes from that? When you're sitting down, that guy that valedictorian studied for an hour, and you know I caught you. I caught you, and I am dumb. But I have the work ethic to catch you. That's where David Goggins got really invented. Was at a kitchen table with 20 spiral notebooks that were empty. And then 3 months later, they were full. And when you can go through that, I still have them in my storage unit. You go through these spiral notebooks of your life, and you realize this is how I learned. This is unbelievable. There's no miles. It's not about the miles. It's that. Having a discipline every day to say, for me to learn this one math problem, it's going to take me 10 hours. And you realize through hard work, you can outwork anybody, no matter how badass they are. But that's the part people don't want to dive into. A lot of people, what they do is they have these finish lines. And I have a saying that says, I don't stop when I'm tired, I stop when I'm done. So when I was younger, I didn't have any goals. And it's not really so much about goals, it's just a to-do list. A to-do list. And as a human being, if you don't have a to-do list, you're gonna sit back and just fade away. It's like a lot of people who are in the military, who are in business, who are whatever, they say, hey, I'm gonna do 20 years and I'm gonna retire. Okay, what's next? So I have a what's next list. So I never sit idle. I never sit idle. There's never one time in my life where I'm sitting back with free time and like just enjoying the sun. I made it. Yeah. I've arrived. No, I've never arrived. And a lot of people say, are you happy? Because I'm so driven that it almost makes people who are weaker in the mind think, my God, you must not be happy. That's a weaker person's way of saying, you've overachieved, David Goggins, and you're making me feel like shit. If you ask me if I'm happy, I'm doing my job, because when I was a weak person, these are some of the things I would ask a very driven person. because I didn't understand what they were doing. Because they were so driven that my mind was so weak that I was like, they must not be happy. I would find a way to put a title like they're crazy or they're not fulfilled or they're empty because I didn't have what they had. So basically, if I get these questions, I know I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm making you feel a certain way. Even though the good Lord rests, he didn't tell me to. I'm a big faith believer, but God didn't tell me to rest. I genuinely believed I could do it. And the reason why, because I had this voice in the back of my head that I kept on running from. I was afraid of the water. I was afraid of dealing with things that made me feel unaccepted. I didn't accept myself. So I kept on going towards things that I felt good. Let me go this way, but something kept on saying, you have it, man. You got it, man, but you're gonna have to fail a lot, but you have it. And like I said, that voice kept on haunting me, but that voice kept on saying, if you face it, you realize it's not that bad. You can do more than this. If I had to walk, I had to walk. It just became just a process of grinding and grinding, and grinding is not even a good word for it. It's not even a good word for it. Just going further and further. And then when I got through running, I go to the bike, I go to the pool. If I got tired somewhere, my legs were tired, I go to the gym. And I developed this crazy workout where I was doing volume 300 reps of like very lightweight. My workout routine in the gym became sick. I have to become someone in this world, or I'm no good for anybody. It comes from a disgusting place of not being fulfilled in your life, of afraid of dying, having never accomplished anything. That's a fear that some people run away from, that people don't want to face. When you have a real fear of dying and being just another person, that I live to pay the bills. I made $1,000 a month. This is my life. I spray for cockroaches, man. If that makes you feel good, that's great. It didn't make me feel good. I wanted to, the first time in my life, after 26 years, it was 24, 25, wherever I was, I wanted to feel good about myself. No one was helping me out. My dad made my mom kind of irregular. So she worked 3 jobs, went to college full time, so she was never around. So long story short, what I realized was no one was here to help me. And the feeling I had every morning when I looked in the mirror was horrible. And I didn't want to feel like that anymore. And how I felt was a kid going nowhere, a kid that was scared. And most kids will accept that and look for help. But the best thing that happened to me, no one helped me. No one felt sorry for me. No one looked at me and said, like this day and age, they'll take you in and they'll tell everybody, stop picking on this person. Back then, they didn't care. The KKK marched in our 4th of July parades. That's how this town was. I had to figure out I wasn't gonna be a punk kid all my life. So the only way I could turn it around was to suffer. I had to build calluses in my brain. What I realized is for me to become the man I wanted to become, I saw myself as the weakest person God ever created. But I never blamed God for anything he did to me. So I wanted to change that to be the hardest man ever created. Am I that? I don't know, but you had to have a goal. And my goal when I was sitting there, not going to school, being bullied, having no self-esteem, my goal was the only person that's gonna turn this person around is me. The only way I can turn it around is put myself through the worst things possible a human being can ever endure. And that'd be the only way that I can build this brain to handle anything that comes in front of it, callousing my mind through pain and suffering. I wanted to win, not like beat somebody else. It wasn't about that. I just wanted to go the distance. Everything in my life, when something got hard, I quit. If it was reading, that's where, I wasn't great at reading, I wasn't great at writing, so I just quit. I couldn't catch on as fast as you. I had to work harder than you, so I quit. I wasn't great at things, so I quit. I'm not good at this. Like, man, if I could just go that distance, that extra mile, to just go, just to finish. I want to finish. I want to feel victory. And victory for me wasn't winning, it was just finishing. So I said, you know what? If I could feel like these guys feel, it would change my life. But what I realized, the best feeling I had was when I was by myself trying to lose this weight. I had to lose it in literally less than 3 months. I started feeling victory just by putting myself in the battle. It wasn't about going to Navy SEAL training. It wasn't about being the 23rd guy in that chair. I started realizing, man, just by going to war with myself every day and putting these challenges and these goals and these obstacles, these insurmountable obstacles. So it wasn't about losing 106 pounds. Me losing 5 pounds was an accomplishment. Me losing 10 pounds and then 50 pounds. And then the more I did this, the more I gained confidence. And then the more I gained confidence, the more I realized these guys can't do what I'm doing right now. I had no coach, had no trainer, had no money. I didn't know how to lose weight. I had no knowledge of what I was doing. I was just working. I was just sacrificing. And then through that, all these different tools started coming up. But I would have never found these tools if I didn't put myself in a very uncomfortable place. We all look for toughness. We all want it, but we look for it in a comfortable environment. You will not find toughness in a comfortable environment. Those of you who are listening to this, whoever hear this, you will not find it. I was trying to look for it everywhere. The only way you find it is to drown yourself in a position where you're just out of sorts, where you can't swim and you're drowning. Where you're drowning. You're drowning in life. But you say, you know what, man? I'm gonna figure out how to backstroke or something. I've been in 3 hell weeks, Ranger School, overcome so many obstacles in my life. This last 30 miles of this race is when I realized a human being is not so human anymore. We have the ability to go in such a space if you're willing to suffer, and I mean suffer. Your brain and your body, once connected together, can do anything. And this 30 miles was the life-changing moment. I was out of it. I was in the worst pain in my entire life. I was, to me, on the brink of death. And I was able to chunk this 30 damn miles into small pieces. I was so driven, and I'm not gonna say motivated, because motivation's crap. Motivation comes and goes. When you're driven, whatever's in front of you will get destroyed. I sat in this chair and I was so driven to succeed in this race. This became a personal thing. This became me against this race, me against me. It just became something that I took so violently personal. And I broke this thing down into small pieces. I said, okay, I gotta get nutrition. I gotta be able to stand up. So I went through all these small steps and I was able to stand up. And then from standing up, I was literally walking around with my wife at the time, and she goes, you're not gonna make the time. I got to mile 81, and the second she said that I'm not gonna make the time, I ran the last 19 miles, nonstop. And people may listen to this and say, this guy is sadistic, he's crazy, No, if you know how I came up, you realize I was just a scared kid that found drive and passion to be something much better than what he thought he was.
I don't believe in taking days off because your mentality is just feeling sorry for yourself. I deserve this, or I've earned that mentality. And that's what I was saying to myself. Today's self-talk was horrible. So we all have one voice, and that one voice is very powerful that says, hey, you've earned this, you deserve this, take time off, all that stuff. Start developing the other voice that fights that voice. When it's not a designated day off, I don't care if it's running, swimming, biking, studying. If it's not a day off, don't take a day off. And start developing that voice that fights the weaker voice. So remember that. We all have one voice, work on the other voice also. One thing important is that we all have these moments in time that either make you or break you, that can determine the rest of your life. The rest of your life can be determined by one simple decision. 19 years ago, 300 pounds, I was spraying for cockroaches. I made a decision to try to be a Navy SEAL. My whole goal was to go on this path every day after work and to run a mile to a mile and a half. This rock was about the 0.5 mark in my run. This rock was a moment that should have broken me. I got 0.5 into it. I weighed 297 pounds. I sat on this rock and I had a decision to make. I wanted to quit. I wanted to give up. There wasn't some inspirational quote. There wasn't nothing. It was me, myself, and it was freezing out here.
I had to make a decision. The decision I make was to get up and keep on going. That one moment changed the rest of my life. I put everything on David Goggins to be a Navy SEAL. It's like going to the crap table with your last $1,000. And you say, you know what? I'm gonna put everything on black. And hopefully I win. If not, I'm broke. I put my whole life, a guy that was scared of the water, a guy that taught himself how to read and write, on being one of the hardest motherfuckers on the planet. Think about that. A guy that came from nothing. I put my whole life, and I'm gonna go out here and put everything on David Goggins to be a Navy SEAL. I look at that, and I did all this just to get the opportunity to succeed. That's what people don't understand, man. And people see the end result. Most of this generation quits the second they get talked to. You did this wrong, or they get yelled at. It's so easy to be great nowadays because most people are weak. This is a softened generation. So if you have any mental toughness, any ability, if you have any fraction of self-discipline, the ability to not want to do it but still do it. People have a hard thing understand. I hate to run. And what makes me so crazy, it doesn't anymore, is people go, well, why do you run if you hate it? What are you talking about? I don't want to take showers and eat either. I hate that too. That's life, man. It wasn't until I changed that mentality that I became somebody. I hated going to school. So guess what? I was dumb. 1 + 1 is 2. But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. That's what people don't understand. By me running, I am callous in my mind. I'm not training for a race. I'm training for life. I'm training for the time when I get that 2 o'clock in the morning call that my mom is dead or something happens tragic in life. I don't fall apart. I'm training my mind and my body and my spirit so it's all one, so I can handle what life is going to throw at me. Because the life I've lived, it throws a whole bunch at you. And if you're not physically and mentally prepared for that, you're just going to crumble and you're good for nobody. You know it, every painful moment. You remember it. We try to put it under a rug, lift the rug up, you'll find them. Yeah, that's how I was able to write that book. You don't forget that. No. You want to, and that's where you fail. By trying to forget it. That's where you fail. That's where there's no growth. Let's just move forward from all this. You just want to forget about it. You will continue making the same mistake. You will continue doing the same things wrong if you don't go back. It's more important to own your weaknesses. You got to really triple down on those, man. Because why? You want to become a full human being. We like to run away from weaknesses. Like for instance, if you're good at running, all you want to do is run. If you're great at reading, you have several books. But we don't do those things that we're not good at. So for me, I realized I keep on running away from these things I'm not good at. I have to dive into these things. I have to become one with these things. And that's what happened. And I own them both. I got caught up in trying to impress so many people because no one liked me. So I developed so many different identities. Let me sag my pants. Let me pull my pants up. Let me talk this way or act this way or be this way or whatever the hell it may be. God, dog, there's so many different things I did to try to fit in with so many different groups. When you look in the mirror, that's the one person you can't lie to. So every morning I would shave my head thinking, God, I would reflect back on some of the lies I may have told somebody or some of the ways I acted that I didn't feel comfortable doing. And I did it to impress other normal people. The key word there is normal, everyday people. I was trying to make other people like me. How pathetic is that? So this mirror would always tell me, my reflection would say, God, you are a pathetic man. How does that feel every day to be this way? So I would just start having myself accountable. How did I attack today? How did I attack yesterday? And if I didn't do something I was proud of, I would write down a sticky note and I would fix it. So then my senior year in high school, it was a totally different David Goggins. I realized at a young age how to change myself was through discipline. And the military didn't teach me that. It was something I realized I had zero discipline, zero self-discipline. And I realized I have to start developing this. And I started really because I was horrible at reading and I was horrible at writing. I have so many learning disabilities, it's not even funny. So I just sit down at the table and spend so much time in this reading and writing and learning. And that kind of translated over to my self-discipline with working out. So a lot of you know that my knees are messed up, but that doesn't mean you don't stop going. You don't stop pushing. Life's about improvise, adapt, and overcome to every situation that's in front of you. A lot of people hate that message that I say continue pushing, continue finding your new 100%, continue finding your best self. If you don't like that message, this is not the place to be. I'm about people trying to find the best they have, not making excuses, overcoming any and all obstacles. So today, I can't run. I can't do much. But you can guarantee one thing. David Goggins got after it. On the other side of that extreme place that I call suffering, call whatever you want, there's a whole nother world that people have not even examined. But you have to go to that extreme place to examine it. We want to stay here in this comfortable place. Once you're willing to push yourself to that extreme place, it's like a whole nother universe. It's almost like you're an astronaut and you've examined something like up in outer space. No, it's always been there. But you have to be going through all the muck to examine it. You realize, wow, God, through all this crap, there's a whole nother universe over here in my mind. Whole nother universe.
It's another early morning. You're probably thinking, I have so many videos with me putting my shoes on early in the morning. Well, the videos are all very different if you really think about it. Every morning, every day of our lives, we have choices to make. You have the choice to stay in bed, to say, forget it, I'm not going to work out today, or forget it, I'm not going to work hard today. You always have a choice every single day of your life. So it's a very different video because yesterday I made the choice to get up early and run, but today's another day. Today's another day that I'm faced with another choice to make. So I'm making the choice again to put my shoes on early in the morning and get after it again. Make the right decision.
Stay hard is about going that extra step and you feel like you can't. That's what builds self-esteem and self-respect. Stay hard. This ain't gonna happen. People go, how did you run 135 miles to Death Valley? How did you run 100 miles with no training? Because I went into it not thinking, I can't do this, man. I went into it with a strategy. I had an open-mindedness. So until your mind is open to the possibilities that I can do this, you would never be able to do it. Once the mind starts to believe it can be achieved, it then, only then, does it start to break down tactically how we can do this. Until then, you're gonna always lose.
The whole thing is this. Don't say a word. Stay uncommon amongst uncommon people. You're never done. Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done. Stay hard.
Our mind wants to protect us. The mind is like, honestly, it has a tactical advantage over us. It knows our deepest, darkest fears or insecurities. It knows where we start to feel, we start getting that doubt creeping that says, hey man, you know what, man, maybe this isn't good. Let's go back home to the wife. Let's go back home to the kids. This is not comfortable.
So what you say to yourself is important. There's no coach, there's no trainer to keep you going. It's only you. So think about this. You've been working your whole life to get a seat at the table. The seat at the table is you want to be the best amongst all the best people in your career field. So you finally get that letter. It's steak, lobster. It's a big dinner. Everybody's showing up.
So in that moment, the mind directs us. It's a protective mechanism. It saves us from doing bodily harm, or it really saves us from discovering that the mind's like, I want to be in charge of you. I don't want you to be in charge of me. So it tells you, let's just stop right here. But once you start breaking through that barrier and start breaking down that governor that you've put in your mind, because we forget we are in control of our mind. We believe it's the other way around. No, we put in our minds what we should do, but we believe our mind is telling us, it's giving us all this feedback. And this 30 miles was the life-changing moment. I was out of it. I was in the worst pain in my entire life. I was, to me, on the brink of death. And I was able to chunk this 30 damn miles into small pieces. I was so driven, and I'm not gonna say motivated because motivation's crap. Motivation comes and goes. When you're driven, whatever's in front of you will get destroyed. So I sat in this chair and I was so driven to succeed in this race. And at this time, everybody goes, were you thinking about the guys that died? And I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't. This became a personal thing. This became me against this race, me against the kids, and me against me. It just became something that I took so violently personal. And I broke this thing down into small pieces. I said, okay, I gotta get nutrition. I gotta be able to stand up before I can get off this curb and get off this chair and be able to go 30 miles. So I went through all these small steps and I was able to stand up. And then from standing up, I was literally walking around with my wife at the time, and she goes, you're not gonna make the time. She goes, you're walking like 30-some minute miles. I got to mile 81, and the second she said that I'm not gonna make the time, I ran the last 19 miles, nonstop.